A Shabbat Shalom Akim, Shabbat Shalom, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Akakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, for teaching us his truth and salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwath and listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will, as always, an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I just wanted to go through just a quick account in regards to the prophets being profitable, meaning useful, and their understanding and having knowledge on the herbs, right? And I wanted to go through this quick example, during the reign of, one of our forefathers, King Hezekiah, and essentially, what he did, but also outlining what the prophet Isaiah instructed him to do, when he did when he was sick, right? We know we live in a society where, Esau has basically had contaminated a lot of the things that we consume, right? The scriptures talk about how our bread will be defiled amongst the Gentiles, right? But, at the same time, we're kind of being reborn into this understanding where we don't, we don't tamper a lot with the things that Esau uses, because we understand that he basically kind of just wants you to become very, very dependent on him, right? So this is just a quick account just to see what did what did King Hezekiah do, but most outlining understand that what did the prophet Isaiah tell King Hezekiah to for him to do also, right? And understanding that these different herbs, the Lord created all these different medicines out of the earth, right? And it's just the way that Esau he does with these things. He tampers with them, and so a lot of these things that are supposed to be for our benefit are really for our detriment, because of the way he processes it, and processes a lot of these natural ingredients, and it's been stripped of its minerals, because the scriptures talk about how the soul that is within him is essentially, it's not upright, so it's not within him to do the right thing, right? And then in this society, there's a strong push for basically using the drugs and so on and so forth, and it's just basically just to help you to keep coming back to him, as opposed to you depending on what the Lord instructed us to do, right? So what I wanted to do was read this quick account here. It's not too long. As a matter of fact, let me start off with this precept just to kind of set the tone of kind of what I'm speaking of here. Let's see, that's Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 104, verse 14, and it says, "He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and for the herb for the service of man, and he may bring forth food out of the earth," right? So there are just different remedies that the Lord created out of the earth to be able for our service, for be our purpose, right? I'll jump down to verse 24, and it says, "O Lord Yahweh, how manifold are thy works in wisdom, that thou hast made them all. The earth is full of thy riches," right? And the scriptures say that the principle, wisdom is the principal thing. So, something I was meditating on in regards to something as simple as oranges, and looking at the way the Heavenly Father created all these different fruits and herbs. You have the flesh, and then there's so much different uses now. I know, something that I've learned recently, that the orange itself, the peels actually have a lot more vitamin C than the flesh itself. So it seems like there's so many different things that these different fruits and herbs can do for the body, and the Heavenly Father has a very has curated a lot of these different created a lot of these different herbs and foods and so on and so forth to be able to be shaped like certain organs, or they're color coded as well. So for example, you have like beets, and the beets are red, and those beets are filled with a lot of nitric oxide to be able to help the body and so on and so forth, right? So just to show you the power, the Lord is very far out, right? This is why we give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Shai, right? Because he deserves all praise and glory, right? So this is this is 2 Kings chapter 20 verse 1, and it says, "In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah the son of Amos came unto him. He said unto him, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die, and not live. And it says, Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and I have done which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And it came to pass afore Isaiah was gone out of the middle court, that the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Turn again and tell Hezekiah the captain of my people, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the power of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee. On the third day thou shalt go up to the house of the Lord, and I will add unto thy days 15 years. All right, so another key aspect to this is also King Hezekiah's humility too, right? Because remember, this is a king we're speaking of, right? One of the things is, you think about a king, you don't think about a king essentially as somebody who is exemplifying some humility, right? Because we live in a society where a lot of these people are, especially the people who quote unquote rule, they don't exemplify these different traits, right? And it says, on the third day thou shalt go up to the house of the Lord. Okay, I read that. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend the city for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. And right here's really the point, and it says, and Isaiah said, Take a lump of figs, and he took and laid it to the boil, and he recovered, right? So he had knowledge of the remedies to be able to heal Hezekiah, right? Of course, Hezekiah, coupled with other factors, Hezekiah was still very humble, because that is something that definitely will humble you, is the fact that you have a sickness, right? And you're basically asking the Lord to heal you, right? The scriptures say that in regards to humility, as a matter of fact, let me get that, and then I'll get some information on figs, right? Because you don't want to be prideful and sick. That's why I kind of want to read this. This is Sirach 35, verse 16, and it says, He that serveth the Lord shall be accepted with favor, and his prayer shall reach unto the clouds. It says, The prayer of the humble pierceth the clouds, until it come nigh he will not be comforted, and will not depart till the Most High have behold to judge righteously and execute judgment. Right? So the scriptures, that's the point, because you don't want to be prideful and sick. That doesn't make any sense, because that's something that you're within this body, and the body, you're fighting a sickness, right? So that's why it's also important to exemplify humility too, right? Where was I gonna go? Figs, right? So benefits of figs. Okay, these are some of the health benefits of figs, and it says fiber to support healthy digestion, relieve constipation, and improve heart health by lowering blood pressure and cholesterol. It says essential nutrients such as copper, potassium, manganese, magnesium, um, and vitamin K. It says other nutrients may combat cancer, help with blood sugar management, and aid in weight loss efforts. Right? So, um, let's see if there's any more here. So, it helps to promote heart health. Right? So, non-human studies show that fig extract may help the heart health by lowering blood pressure, and that's something that is very common amongst our people because they don't eat very well and they eat a lot of things that actually raise their blood pressure, right? Our people are very destroyed for lack of knowledge, and it says here, let's see. Oh, here, improving digestion. So it says most fiber-filled fruits are great for digestion, and figs are no exception. It says it provides a prebiotic nutrients that feed the good bacteria in the gut. A healthy microbiome can lead to the lower inflammation and better immune function. Right? Let's see what microbiome. So you may think that gut microbiome is in your stomach, but it's actually located in your small intestines. So it contains all the small microbes that reside in the intestinal tract, and those microbes, are composed of bacteria, fungi, yeast, and viruses. Right? So you have good bacteria in your stomach, in your not your stomach, but your small intestines. Right? And it says as you ingest food, the gastric acid is found in your stomach, destroys a lot of the pathogens you consume, and we are consuming microbes all the time through food and water. So the goal is to have a healthy gut microbiome. So factors like diet, infection, medications can affect its balance, right? How do you improve your microbiome? So it says add fiber to your diet. So going back to the figs, eat fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, or kombucha, reduce stress, maintain regular eating schedule. Um, let's see. Okay, so I want to go back to the figs. Um, balances blood sugar. It says figs may also help with keeping blood sugar steady, and you don't have to eat them to get this benefit. It says a small study with people with type 1 diabetes who drank fig leaf tea. Okay, so they were using the leaves. They experienced reduced blood sugar levels during the month they drink tea, right? And it says they needed about 12% less insulin, a diabetes medication that helps to keep the blood sugar at a healthy range. And diabetes is something that's very common amongst our people. Like going back into, because they don't, our people don't eat very well, and they eat the things that are essentially unlawful. And this is why we have a dietary law, right? And it says the whole fig fruit also benefits people with type 2 diabetes who often experience health complications. Many people with diabetes get inflammation that is linked to metabolic disorders. Figs contain powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatory chemicals, like carotenoids and polyphenols. And it says figs aren't a cure at all, but these nutrients help to lessen the inflammatory effects of diabetes on your body, right? So the fiber is extremely very, very good, you know. Um, let's see. Let's see for men. Let's just see what it says. Let's just see what it says for men's health. Okay, so here it says the improved sperm count. So it says figs are rich in nutrient zinc, supporting natural testosterone synthesis and elevating levels and enhanced sperm quality. Their abundance of antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals further enhances sperm motility and overall male health. Using dried figs is for sperm health incorporating them into your diet, right? I've had them before. They're actually very, very good, but I've had them as a not in a dried state, but I had them as a fruit. But they can be quite pricey. But if you go to like maybe not like your regular big box stores might have them, by maybe like little like super not superstores, but those little shops, they actually have a lot of those, fruits that you might be looking for, right, to actually improve your health, right? So it says and it's very like bite size, and the skin is very soft, so I kind of just ate the whole thing, right? But it has a lot of seeds in it too, right? And I noticed a lot of these fruits that have a lot of seeds in them, it helps, to kind of keep you full. It keeps it's essentially like rich with a lot of fiber, right? Another one was dragon fruit. I had that too. When the dragon fruit, it has a lot of seeds in it. It doesn't have much of a striking like sweet taste from what I've noticed, but I think it's also very beneficial for constipation too. So all to manage those gut issues, right? So um let's see. Okay, I'll read this one last one and I'll get a precept. And then it says keeps prostate glands healthy. The prostate gland, a crucial reproductive organ, continues to grow throughout life and requires care as we age. It says consuming dried figs can contribute to maintaining prostate gland health thanks to its rich nutritional value. These figs contain nutrients like dietary fiber, vitamins, minerals, and support overall being. The fiber of dried figs facilitates regular bowel movements and indirectly reducing prostate gland inflammation. However, dried figs are abundant in antioxidants that help fight oxidative stress and inflammation that are linked to prostate health, right? So, that's pretty much it. Let me get a quick precept here in Wisdom of Solomon. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 20, and it says, the natures of living creatures, the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men, the diversity of plants. Actually, I'll read verse 17 and I'll jump to 20, and it says, for he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, how to know how the world was made, and how the operation of the elements. And it says, verse 20, and it says, the natures of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds and the reasonings of men, the diversity of plants and the virtues of roots, and all the things that are either and all the things that are either secret or manifest, them I know. For wisdom is the worker of all things taught me, for in her is the understanding of spirit holy, one only, manifold, subtle, lively, clear, undefiled, plain, not subject to hurt, loving the thing that is good, quick, which cannot be letted, ready, or to do good, right? So, because we have, wisdom, it gives us understanding of all these different things, kind of like an unction, like it says in First John, we have an unction to know all these different things, right? And this is knowledge that is essentially been we lost, because in fragments. One thing I've noticed is that Jake has fragmented pieces of things that they did in their culture, but over a process of time, straying from the Lord and straying from the land, they remember certain things, but they don't practice a lot of things in its entirety. And even when they come across a lot of these heathens, especially living in Babylon, for so long and marinating in Babylon, they've forgotten the ancient ways of actually trying to heal themselves, right? And actually trying to, and even, but on a spiritual level, they haven't, repented. So this is why you see that they're, like it says in Isaiah, the first chapter, that the head is essentially sick, right? So, that's pretty much it. But just wanted to do a quick lesson on the herbs. And figs. I've tried them. They're very, very good. You can just eat them by themselves. They're very, very soft, right? But they can be a little bit pricey. But your gut health is still good and important, right? Anyways, that's pretty much it. But Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. Just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim El Shai. Until next time, I say Shabbat Shalom.